Hi, welcome back to week 2 of our online classes for C2 level. Okay, I hope you have a good weekend. And excuse me, my voice, I'm losing my voice. I've done so many videos now, so just bear with me. Okay, what did we do in the last class? In the last class, we were talking about forensic science, and we did a listening about what forensic science is, what it includes, etc. Okay, so on the topic of law and order, like always, we are going to do a continuation of this topic and do a reading and learn some new vocabulary. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we are going to read a text about human rights. This is what we were talking about in many classes before this class. But first, I'm going to give you a quiz and see how much you really know. So I'm going to show you a piece of paper with the quiz on it. And you have to pause the video and don't cheat. Don't go on the internet and look up all the answers. I want to see how much you actually know. Well, I probably won't see it actually because I'm going to tell you the answers after anyway. But just be honest and don't cheat, okay? So, talking about human rights, I've written down on this piece of paper 6 different, what would you say, like historical moments regarding human rights and different dates, okay? And you have to match the human rights historical moment to the correct date, okay? Just do the best you can. And after you unpause the video, I'll show you the answers, okay? So, can you see that? Yeah, you can see all of them, okay? So you've got, for example, the first one says, women allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia, end to segregation in the USA, same-sex marriage legalized in the USA, Fair Labor, sorry, I'm trying to read this backwards. Fair Labor Standards Act in the USA establishes a minimum wage and fair working conditions. First gay pride parades in the USA, and women in the UK over 30 gained the right to vote. So all of these are obviously huge moments for human rights. Can you just match them to these dates? Okay, so pause the video now, match them, and then I assume that now you've unpaused the video. We are going to do this together. So let me get a pen. Okay, a different color. Okay, a green pen. So look at the first one. What did you say for women allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia? What did you say? The answer was actually shocking. It was actually in the news recently. Not recently, but when it happened. So it's 2000. This is really hard to write without something hard behind it. Okay. So, drive in Saudi Arabia is 2018. Okay, if you can believe that. The end of segregation in the USA. Do you know when that was? It was 1964. Okay. What about the next one? Same-sex marriage legalized in the USA. This was shocking, actually, that it took so long for this to happen. But it was 2015, only 5 years ago. Seems a bit bizarre. Okay. Fair Labor Standards Act in the USA establishes a minimum wage and fair working conditions, even though I don't think this really exists, but it's in the law, but I don't really think they apply it. Do you know when that happened? That was, I don't know this by heart. I have to look. I looked it up. It was 1938. Okay, that one just there. I hope you can see that. Okay. What about the next one? First gay pride parades in the USA. This was in 1970. Okay, which means the last one, women in the UK over 30 gained the right to vote, which was 1918. And 10 years after that, which was interesting, they said that women over the age of 21 had the right to vote. So 10 years later, so that they reduced the age by like 9 years. Okay, did you get any of those right? If I hadn't looked up the information, I probably would have only got like 2 or 3 of them right because I didn't really know until I looked it up. So what we're going to do now is have a look in your book. So open your student's book to pages 86 and 87 here. where you've got your text here and you have got your questions and some more questions, and we're going to go over them. Okay, so we already kind of did number one. What do you already know about human rights? We talked about that. We talked about that quite a lot. Sorry. And we just talked about it now as well with our quiz. So what do you think the text is going to talk about? This is quite a self-explanatory question. It says a history of human rights. So yes, they're going to talk about a history of human rights, but not just in our recent history. They're going to talk about human rights from a long time ago as well. It was quite interesting. The texts in this book are really interesting. I sometimes read them by myself when I'm bored, like now. So what I'd like you guys to do is, well, you to do, is have a look at number 3. This is one of the typical reading exercises in your C2 exam. I think it's actually the last one in the reading. You have different paragraphs, A, B, C, D, E, and F, 6 paragraphs here. And you've got 10 statements or bits of information. And you need to decide in which paragraph this different information appears. Okay, and you need to write it down as well. So basically, what I'd like you to do first is pause the video and underline any important words in these different sentences, okay? Which words stand out to you? What are going to be words that you're going to try to look for synonyms for in the text, okay? So pause the video and then we'll go over it together, okay? So I assume you've paused the video. We're going to have a look at number 1. So it says, in which section are the following mentioned? The view that a situation which had wreaked widespread havoc could not be repeated. So before we underline any important words, wreaked havoc, do you have any idea what that means? Since we can't talk, I'm going to just tell you what it means. Wreak havoc is like create a disastrous situation. It can be on a huge scale, like now, like coronavirus is wreaking havoc pretty much on the whole world. Everything is stopped. Yeah, I'd definitely say that's wreaking havoc. But also, like sometimes during the day, my son wreaks havoc in our house, and toys are everywhere. There are drawings on the wall, things like that. Okay, so just creating a massive disaster area, basically. And widespread, I think you know, means everywhere, basically, and on a big scale. So a view that a situation which had wreaked widespread havoc could not be repeated. So maybe some important words would be wreaked widespread havoc and not repeated. You could look for that. Okay, what about number 2? A recent consensus that an event had far-reaching global repercussions. A repercussion is like a consequence. So recent consensus, probably. Far-reaching global repercussions. You're not going to see these exact words, as you know. So maybe you'll see something like consequences. Number 3, treating all sides equally during military conflicts. Maybe all sides equally, military conflicts. You should underline those words. What about 4? The view that a protest against the flagrant injustice of a despotic monarch had far-reaching consequences. Okay, so flagrant injustice would be like a massive injustice. And despotic monarch, probably just like a really bad monarch that doesn't help anybody, doesn't do their part, basically. So maybe protest, injustice, monarch, consequences, things like that. Okay. Number 5, surprise that widespread change came about in a relatively short space of time. Maybe widespread change, short space of time, probably. Okay, number 6. The suggestion that the unusual actions of a monarch were far ahead of their time. Unusual actions, monarch, ahead of their time, ahead time. Okay, you get the gist of what we're doing. So what about number 7? An acknowledgement that a leader was prepared to justify his actions. Maybe acknowledgement, leader, justify actions. 8, an expression of regret for mistakes made in the past. Regret, mistakes, past. That's what I would say. I don't know. I'm just kind of saying what I think. I have no idea what you think. Probably the same thing because it's not super difficult. Number 9, the importance of something which officially tried to prevent a certain type of gender discrimination. Importance, prevent gender discrimination. 10, the idea that everyone should have the same opportunities for advancement. Everyone, same opportunities, advancement. Okay, that's what I think. If you're confused about any of the vocabulary words, obviously pause the video, look them up. If I didn't give you enough time to do this or you need me to repeat, just go back and have a look at what I said. Now, basically, in your exam, you'll have maybe, it depends how fast you go, but you'll probably have about 12 or 13 minutes to do this task. More if you're faster. I would recommend taking all of those 12 or 13 minutes to do this. So time yourself if you would like to see how fast you can do this for the exam. I'd like you to pause the video now after I'm done explaining, and I want you to do the exercise. Put the letter where these different bits of information appear in the text, okay? And then we'll go over it together, and I'm gonna write it on the board. No, sorry. Before we do that, there's another part that I'd like you to do before you do this, okay? I just saw this. I forgot that I made this. So, because I don't have more than one whiteboard and it's really hard to write everything and then erase it, I've written it on a piece of paper. So here you've got some words that appear in the text. I'd like you to look up the meanings of these words and before you read. Okay, I mean, you probably don't have to, but it's just good so you can learn some more vocabulary words. Can you look them up in the dictionary? If you already know them, don't. But if you don't know, look them up and write them in your notebook so you have kind of a list of the vocabulary for what we've done. Okay, so I'm going to show you this again. And once you have looked them up, we're going to discuss them. I'm going to tell you what the answers are, and then we can do the exercise, okay? So, for example, I'm just going to turn my notebook to the correct page so I can help you in an effective way. Have a look at this, and can you see all the words? I don't know. Yeah, you can. And I wrote next to them. These are in paragraph 1 in text. These are paragraph 2, paragraph 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay? So have a look at these. Pause it now. And next to them, I also wrote if it's a verb, noun, adjective, or whatever. Okay? So pause it now. Look these up in the dictionary, and then unpause the video, and then we'll do it together. Okay? So I assume that you have paused the video. You've looked up these words in the dictionary. Let's go. So, in the first paragraph, we're going to have a look at these words. You have decrees. If you'd like, you can also copy my pronunciation in your house, okay? Parallel and baked clay cylinder. Oh, I was going to get a picture for that. I'm just going to have to describe it. So, you can look on Google, okay? Just type that in and you'll find it, okay? So, decrees are, I don't know if you have the same answer as me, but the answer I have are official orders that have the force of law, basically. Parallel, so you know what parallel means as an adjective, but it's also a verb, and it means to be equal to. Baked clay cylinder is a noun, it's a thing. Like, you know, in the past, well, yeah, okay, in the past, also today, there are like jugs. How can I explain this? Like a jug is where you have water, or you put flowers. When someone gives you flowers, you put them in a jug or a vase, like a vase, vase. And in the past, they used clay a lot. And clay is wet dirt, mud, basically, that you use to sculpt, and then you bake that, and it becomes kind of like ceramic. So a baked clay cylinder would be like if you go to a museum, a history museum or something, and you see like these ancient pots or ancient jugs or whatever that's like writing or hieroglyphics or things like that on them, that's a baked clay cylinder. Just look at a picture in on Google. It'll help you maybe better than my explanation. Okay. In paragraph 2, you have enumerate, which is a verb. I think this is actually probably the same as Spanish. It just means to count, basically. Widows are, I'm pretty sure it's only for women. A widow is a woman who's lost her husband. So widows are women who've lost their husband because they've died, not because they've gotten a divorce, because they've died or passed away. Okay. Remarry is to marry someone again, but not the same person again, a different person. Maybe you got a divorce or you're a widow and you marry someone later on. Bribery is a noun. Bribery is like if you want something, you kind of in a sneaky, bad way offer to give something to someone else so they will do what you want. Like, it's probably really common now. Actually, not probably, it is really common. It's not good, but it's common in politics, I'm sure. If, for example, if a politician wants a law to be passed, but people have said no, he'll pay someone and then it gets passed. Oh no, that's a dumb example. A better example is like when somebody has gone to jail, for example, for a pretty bad crime, like they're a gang member and they like shot someone, and they want to get out of jail, but the guard said no, and then someone pays, like says, oh, if you let them out, if you let this person out, I'll pay you so and so amount of money. And they pay and then they get let out. So bribery is like when you give a usually monetary amount of something to someone so you can get what you want, basically. On a smaller scale, it could be like I don't know, if your I don't know how to explain. If your friend is at your house and they want you to get a coffee for them, and you say, I'll only get you a coffee if you bake cookies for me or something. That's also a dumb example, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say. I didn't plan these examples, so I apologize. I think you can understand that, and you can look it up in the dictionary as well. Okay. In paragraph 3, printed broadsheet. Okay, this is really not a word you'd use nowadays, but it's pretty much just a newspaper, but a bigger printed newspaper, like the size of a newspaper. No, a little bit bigger than a newspaper, like they used to have in old times. Sorry, there you can see it. And it's just bigger print and it's a bigger page, basically. In paragraph 4, storming. This means breaking into something with force, like the police. Well, this is the ing form, but you can use it in any form. It can be in the past, like the police stormed the building, like raided. What about 5? Wounded is an adjective. It means hurt or injured. I think you might know that. I don't know why I thought you might not know that, but anyway. Paragraph 6, raged. So it's a verb. This is obviously in the past. It's like to continue something violently and uncontrollably. Like the storm raged. The hurricane raged. It was like the hurricane was angry and it had rage and it didn't stop until it was finished because it was so angry. Smoldering ruins. So ruins are like what's left after bombing or after, even after time, like ruins, like I guess Roman wall could be a ruin because it's still there, but it's not ruined, but it's like an old artifact. Well, it's not an artifact, it's like an old piece of history. And smoldering is what something looks like after it's been on fire. So it's not on fire anymore, but it still has smoke coming out of it. So like when places are bombed, I guess, around the world, that's really depressing, but they're smoldering ruins. If you look at places like Syria, it's all ruins, but I don't know if any of it's still smoldering, probably. Like it used to be on fire and you can still see the smoke. Fashion. So you know what fashion is as a noun, but it's a verb and it just means create. The preamble. This is a pretty technical word. This just means like an introductory part of a constitution, okay? Where they have, it's like the introduction to an essay, but it's not an essay. It's the introduction to a constitution. The scourge of war. So the scourge of war is like, let's see, a scourge is like something that creates great affliction, like it creates, it affects something in a widespread way. So the scourge of war is like how war has affected people in such a widespread way. And the last one, sorrow, is a deep sadness. Okay, now that we've done that, if you have any more questions, you are obviously capable of looking them up in the dictionary, or you can ask me as well on email. So now that we've gone over all of the vocabulary words that could have possibly appear here that you don't know, I'd like you to actually do the activity. Have a look at all the sentences and put the correct paragraph in the correct number. Okay, so pause the video. You have 12 minutes. I would say no more than 15. 15 is pushing it. I would say probably 12 or 13 minutes. No more, and you have to do this exercise in that time. Okay, so pause the video, do it, and when you're done, we'll go over it. Okay, so I'm assuming that you've paused it. I'm gonna just get my book, but I don't know these answers by heart. I did read the text, but I don't know them by heart. So let's go for it. Number, I'm just going to say the number. I'm not going to read everything again because my throat's on fire. But let's see. I'm going to write the numbers. So what did you say for number 1? I don't know why I'm asking you. Number 1 is F. Number 2 is A. Number 3 is E. Number 4 is B. Also, you must know that you can repeat the paragraph. Okay, it's not just one question per paragraph because that doesn't make sense mathematically. So yeah, you can repeat them. 5 is D. Hang on. F-A-E-B-D. F-A-E-B-D. Yes. 6 is A. 7 is C. 8 is F. 9 is B. And 10 is D. Okay, I hope you got those right. Even if you didn't, that's not a problem because we're here to learn. If you have any more questions about that reading, please let me know. If there's something that you just really didn't understand, let me know. And now comes the fun part, your homework. Okay, so we're not going to do number 4 unless you really want to. You can definitely do number 4 and send it to me as homework, and I can check it for you and send it back. But what I'd like you to do is number 5, okay? Think of a recent human rights abuse story, okay? Keep it PG though, because I don't want to read anything depressing right now. Use the questions and language below to tell a partner about it. So you're going to tell your teacher about it. You have different words here that you can look up in the dictionary. And you have 3 different questions to help you write your small text. I'd like you to write around 100 words. That sounds like a lot. It's really like that, okay? So the questions are, were any of the methods above used to tackle the problem? Tackle is like get it under control, approach the problem. How effective were they, and are there any other methods which you think should have been used? Okay, so can you please do number 5, write about 100 words for me, and send it when you can by email. Okay, so have a good evening. Hope you're having a good week, and I'll see you again on Wednesday. Okay, bye.